Good morning, everyone. Oh God, it's cold up here today. You're with John and Helen Renner in Northumberland. Oh, you've been all over. You've been down to Cornwall with Caroline. Jake, oh wow, that looked beautiful in Gloucestershire. And then we've been watching William in Jersey. You've never been to Jersey. That's where I want to go now. But William, that was a brilliant. We loved it. Anyway, you're here with us in the middle of a field in sunny Northumberland. Believe you me, it's not very sunny today. It's really cold. It's not wet, it's just cold. This is Helen right in front of me, and you're going to have to bear with us because we're battling against the weather all the time today. We've got Sarah, daughter, and if I turn around you'll see her. She's behind. She's helping us with any questions and anything that's coming through. So please send questions through, and it'll help us, and it keeps us going. You send the questions to
hashtag LOFS20.
I think we've done the same thing again, and we're down self, so all of a sudden that's back to front. So that helps us. Anyway, you're at North Bellshill and Ammerside Hill Farm today, or now. We sit, unbelievably, we only sit about 140 metres above sea level. But when you're up here, it feels like the wilderness. It's a mixed farm. We have beef and sheep and a small bit of arable. And the arable is really just for straw. And this year we've got spring oats in, and we'll feed the oats to the livestock, the sheep mainly later on. We've got so much to tell you. We're going to carry on walking, and we'll walk and talk as we go along, and we'll show you some cattle. They've just walked to the far end of the field, which is really frustrating. We're in an old pasture field at the minute. I'm going to turn it round so you get the view. Oh, right. And I'm struggling to turn it round. Oh, crikey. There, we're in an old pasture field. And we're trying to improve the pasture constantly. And this is old grasses, low protein grasses, but the cattle do really well on it. I'll scan around with you behind me. We have an old birch wood behind us, and there's one or two of the cows.
The mic sounds a bit weird. Right, we're just trying to get out of the wind because we're using a microphone and it's giving a bit of a funny sound, so we're trying our hardest to get behind a gorse bush here just to hide out of that wind.
The fun of doing this outside, live broadcasting, eat your heart out. We've got about 80 cows, and we produce 80 calves every single year, and we have about 400 sheep. The calves are all sold on at 12 months old. And we're trying to chase the cows up the field, believe it or not. They've all run away whilst trying to walk out of the wind. It makes it very hard. The farm, as I said, sits at about an average of about 150 metres above sea level. We have about 300 acres of grass and 50-60 acres of cereals. We have some fodder crops that we put in kale to help finish lambs. I think the sound should be a little bit better now because we've got out that little breeze. We've panicked to get across the field, and all the lambs are sold, and we just feed grass mainly. There's a little bit of cake that we feed, but yeah, it's nearly always grass. It's called a grass base. I'm sorry, we really had to rush to get out the wind because it was so windy.
There we are. I think we're out of the wind now. If I hold it, that's better. Now we can hear us a bit better, and the bird song at this side of the field is amazing. We've also got to listen out because we've found a woodpecker nest. So if we hear the woodpecker drumming away, we'll be near his nest. Right, handing back over to Johnny.
Right, I've got my breath back now. I hope that's better.
Your cattle
like cake? Oh, that's a good question. We've just had a question come up. Your cattle like cake? Sorry, we call we call animal feed cake feed. I must have said that in my panic of getting over to the side of the wood that we're at the minute. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, we call it cattle cake, sheep cake feed. It's just a term we use, and what it is, it's grains that are pelletized, and then they eat these pellets, this food form. It looks a bit like compacted muesli. Yeah, works. Right. So what we've got here is we've got a farm that we managed to buy about 5 years ago, and we've been slowly but surely trying to improve the pasture on it. By improving the pasture, we mean that we're ploughing some old grasses out and re-sowing it with new grasses. I say ploughing, crikey, we don't. We use all sorts of cultivation techniques and try to plough as little as possible. We try to use the roots from the plants to break up the ground, and that's meaning that's aiding our soil management and giving us a better soil profile. The cereals, when we put cereals in, all we do now is use minimal cultivations and try to direct drill all the time, and that again is helping with soil profiles. And all the cultivations that we do are, we call it, it's a very clever term, contour cultivations, and that means that we don't go up and down hills at all. We only go across the field, and what that does, that holds any rainfall, that slows the rainfall going down the field, and helps the soils hold on to that moisture. And organic matter is a huge problem of deterioration, but we're very lucky that we've got grassland, and we integrate all the organic matter, and we have very high organic matters, and that helps to hold moisture in as well. One farm is in something called an NVZ, which stands for Nitrate Vulnerable Zone. Thank you very much. And nearly forget these things, don't you? Nitrate Vulnerable Zone, which means we're limited to the amount of nitrogen that we put on in those areas, or controlled anyway. It's not really limited. But this farm, Ammerside Hill, isn't. It's just on the edge of it, but we've got to be aware of how we manage and apply nitrogen for the grass to grow. The grassland here, as I say, isn't improved at all. And we just try to control the reeds, but it's really good because our cattle. I want to talk about the cattle. Our cattle are Aberdeen Angus cross cattle. We breed all of our own cattle, and we're very proud that they're the way we manage all the problems. We blood test our cattle and vaccinate them, and they're very, very healthy herd. Have you got something to say?
They're a nice calm herd as well. Much to Johnny's disgust, the children and I have named quite a few of them, and we can walk amongst them, and we're not afraid that we're going to get chased. So I'm just saying we are getting some lovely messages, and I'd just like to say hello to Irene and Katrina MacArthur.
You're not meant to do that.
It's just lovely that we're getting so many messages from all over the country, and it's nice to know that people are watching us.
So back to our cows, because the cows are the really exciting thing here for us. We're going to go from the cows.
Can I just interrupt? We've just had another question. And why are our cattle cross?
Oh no, these questions are really good. They're not. It's when we breed them. They're not cross. They're lovely cattle. It's when we breed them. We call it, if you put one breed onto another, you call it a cross. Some people are very clever and call it a hybrid. It sounds an awful lot nicer, doesn't it? But we have a bull. We have 3 bulls, and they've all got names. What are their names?
We have Macduff.
My favourite is that they're all pedigree names, and so we have Aln
Elite.
Aln Elite is Macduff. We've got Aln Black Boy, and
Aln Patriot.
Aln Patriot. Now they're all bought for different reasons, but Aln Black Boy and Aln Elite are both easy calving bulls. We know from the genetic makeup that they have easy calving bulls. There's another question.
What is your favourite
Oh, my favourite breed of cattle. That's one of the questions that's just come up. My favourite breed of cattle, Aberdeen Angus, got to be. But we do have 2 Highlands in amongst the herd, and we're walking up the hedge line here, or the wood line, coming up to 2 of our favourite cattle. But it's got to be Aberdeen Angus, isn't it? It's good. They're just they are beautiful, placid cattle. So we breed our own replacements. I explained that. Did I?
You did, I think.
Thank you. And we breed our own replacements, and we've been breeding our own replacements for 12 years, and we use the bulls to gain ease of calving. We're getting little messages, and it puts me off because I'm not a professional at this, but we do enjoy doing it. Heading up the fence line, it seems to be all about us.
Show people, so I think people would like to see some of the cows.
Yeah, I'm getting up close, and then we'll turn around and put them in the background. Is that a good idea?
Another question.
What yields can you achieve with your cereals?
With our cereals, what yields can we achieve from our cereals? We're going to turn this around, you'll get some cattle in the background. There we go, there's some of them. What yields can we achieve on our cereals? We achieve anything. We'll try and put it in acres, if everyone knows what an acre is. We get 4.2 to 4.5 tonnes of wheat. Oats, we'd like to get about 3 tonnes to the acre.
For those of you that don't know how big an acre is, because not everybody does, an acre is about a football pitch.
Size of a football pitch.
Football pitch. So if you're not at the moment, but imagine the size of your football pitch, that is 1 acre.
And at the minute we're standing in a 50-acre field, and the cows are just walking away from us all the time as we're walking up to them, which is really frustrating. What I would like to do is find the button to reverse this, and I don't know which one it is. Helen's trying to find it. That one. There we go. Now that's exactly what I was trying to do. Now it takes a wife to show you these things, doesn't it? So we're walking up here, and we're going to meet the rest of the family. We've got Alice on sheep, we've got Charlie in the woods, and we've got Sarah with us. It's very much a family enterprise, this. We all muck in, especially on days like this, we all muck in all the time, and but the children, they're hardly children anymore, all have different interests, but we rely on contractors and skilled labour because we don't employ anybody full time. It's the way farming is on a 500-acre farm. We're managing to sneak up. I'm going to try and walk down here as we're talking and go and see Macduff the bull. He's one of my faves. You can see some of the Highland cows straight in front of us. These were bought from Oban years ago, and they are absolutely beautiful. What you want on Highland cows is symmetrical horns. You want the horns to be the same size, sticking out the same way. Now these two have got names. One's called Fiona. This is Fiona straight in front of us. And the other one's called Kirsty. Kirsty's got the bendy horns, and Fiona's got the straight horns. And there's cute calves, aren't they? Absolutely lovely. We have names for all the cows, or most of them. This one's called Whiteface. Why do you think we've called her Whiteface? But she's a super cow. She's been with us a long time. We're coming down to see the bull. The bull's standing down there. What he does is, when we turned him out just the other day and he's starting to meet his girls, we call them, jokingly, we call them the harems. We have 3 different harems, and Macduff has one, Black Boy has one, and Patriot has another. And he came out the other day to start to serve his girls, and he just hangs around the girl that he loves that day until the deed is done, and then moves on to the next one. Behind you can see one of our favourite cows. The black and white one.
We've had a question. Do we milk our cows?
Do we milk our cows is the question. No, I wouldn't milk my cows.
I definitely wouldn't milk a Highland.
I wouldn't milk a Highland. These are purely beef cows, and beef. Their offspring. These are called suckler cows, and their offspring are reared for beef. We have, Caroline earlier on was on about her dairy cows, very lovely, but these are quite different. Our cows, we always call them rough and ready, but very, very well loved.
We've just had another question on how long do we keep our cows?
We have a system, don't we?
We do have a system, but there is an exception to this.
There is the odd exception. How long do we keep our cows? Our system is all about ear tags and colours. Now, latterly I can't explain it very well with Macduff's lot because it was an afterthought really, but we have 3 different herds. One's got green tags, one's got purple tags, and some of Macduff's have blue tags. Now on that tag each one has a name, and if it begins with A and B is year 1, C and D is year 2, and what we want is every single cow to be with us for 12 years. Anna is now becoming an older cow, whereas, give me a name of a younger cow.
We have Gin.
Gin's one of the younger cows. Yeah. Janet
and Joan and Helga
and Helga
and Helen.
Yeah, so it's a little system. It's good fun, and it makes us appreciate the cows more, and it gives them personalities. We're going through some gates at the minute. That's why there's big squeaky noises in the background. I'm going to turn the camera back around again. We'll say goodbye to the cows, Luke, and I'll turn the camera back around again.
There we are, sorry.
Helen's taking over the commentary. I'm getting out of breath.
Yes. Now, Johnny is looking towards, just from here we can't quite see, but we have Bamburgh Castle about 5 miles away from us, isn't it?
Yeah, but you can't see it.
You can't see it. And we've got the Cheviots behind us, so we're in a lovely spot. And Sarah's been told to get out of shot because her dad doesn't want her in the view.
Yeah, if Helen, if you hold that, if we look back over, I'm going to put my finger in. Can I do that? That is a cereal field just behind there. I need a big pointer. That's what I need. And you can see it's on a bit of a slope, and cross contour cultivating is what I was on about before, and so everything was done across the hill face and not up and down. And that's really good for something called it's something that catchment sensitive farming practices and tells farmers or shows farmers how to do. We're going to turn back around now. There's a beautiful big wood in the back of our farm. This farm's sort of shaped like a C, and at the minute we're in the back of that C, walking up westwards. It's sort of like the horns of a cow, isn't it? It is.
And we're just one last question that we had about the cows, that we have 3 bulls. Each bull has around, I'm going to say we have 70 cows.
Well, 90 cows, 30 cows a bull.
30 cows a bull. And we always make sure that we know that which bull has fathered which calf if we're going to keep it, and that calf will go on to a different bull.
We seem to be jumping around from bits to bits, but that's what farming's about. I think Jake emphasised it this morning, that everything's moving all the time. I loved the way he described the cereals and how he was moving the cereals around the farm, and how they were planting and changing things year on year.
Sorry, I'm terrible at doing this, at jumping in and stopping Johnny halfway through. But we just had a question about, we've got a double fence between the cows and the sheep, and we've got trees along it. This is just something Johnny and I like to do. It's not part of an environmental scheme, that bit, but we've just done it because we love where we live and we want to make it as nice as possible.
And the oak trees, aren't they?
And the oak trees, and Johnny loves oak trees.
And it makes a really good, that double fence, if we ever put the bulls in fields side by side, that double fence stops the bulls from trying to compete with each other. Right. So we're coming up to the sheep. I think we're on time. Are we on time, Sarah?
Sarah's keeping us on time.
Sarah says we're on time. She's catching our eye every now and then. This is just putting us under a tight timeline. Helen, can you hold that, please? We're coming up. We've got Alice. This is our daughter Alice, and she's been out here. She's put a little bit of feed out for the sheep, so you can see some sheep. And we'll have a little chat with Alice when we get to the gator. This is the gator. This is what we live in. We scramble around the farm all the time in this. The poor thing, it does get well worked. The good thing is we can take the doors off in the summer, But actually, this morning, did you want the doors on, Alice?
It was absolutely freezing out here this morning. It's still quite chilly.
Right, I don't know if you heard that. Alice, you might have to come a little bit closer to use this microphone, and we'll use it together. I'll tell you what, we'll turn it round. Someone's saying good morning, Alice. Someone recognises you. There we go. Alice and Helen, do you want to cut there? Right, Alice, tell us what's been going on this morning.
So this morning I've given the sheep a little bit of feed to bring them in closer. This is in pellet form, if I just grab some.
Pellets?
Tiny little pellets.
All right, we had a question about cake. We call it cake as well, don't we?
Yeah, cake or pellets, which is rolled cereals all into one. So,
and where do we get that from? Can you remember?
Yeah, this just comes from just down the road, a company called
Northumberland Quality Cereals.
Yeah, I was
Feeds.
just about to say that. Northumberland Quality Feeds. Yeah, and so it's all very local, and we can basically see it from where we are now. So yeah, some of the sheep have just come in, some of the lambs have come in. Because some of the lambs are a bit older, they've strayed away from them slightly, and are all playing in and around the field. I don't know whether you can see them all in the background.
Oh, and I'll tell you what you can see in the far distance. You can see the top of Cheviot. The clouds actually lifted for the first time today. Oh, one thing I wanted to touch on was we've, believe it or not, we have not only do we have names for the cows, we have names for the fields as well. And again, it means we can really associate ourselves to what's going on the farm. This field that we're in is called...
This is the saddle.
This is called the saddle, and if you look behind, it's because there's sort of a big dip, if I get the camera right, like a saddle behind. We were in Drovers just before, and we've got a field called Stackyard and a field called Rumble Walls. And again, it's just like we treat our farm just like a garden, and we're that passionate about it. And we like to... Another question?
No, we've got to go to the wood because we're so enthusiastic about what we do, we forget about time.
Can we have a little look at this fleece? We've got, this is a fleece that we took off a sheep. Now we've got some Zwarbles, haven't we, Alice?
Yeah, we've got 10 pet Zwarbles. Well, I like to call them pets.
Zwarbles are, I think they come from Germany.
Yeah.
But I managed to buy them and last year, and we had to clip one. Long story, let's not go into it, but she needed a haircut. But this fleece is quite different to the one Jake was showing you earlier. But it's very black. I would like a jumper knitted out of this. I think that'd be really cool. Anyway, we'll move on.
Bye.
See you later, bye.
We'll just leave Alice in the field now to deal with the sheep herself. Oh, that wind.
Right, we'll give you a turnaround. Sarah's in shot. Look, she's just dived out. Well, Sarah's quite good on the camera, aren't you? And so we're going to wander back over, and we're going to talk about the environment a little bit. The environment is a big part of what we do. Now, we're walking up to just one of the most beautiful birch woods I think I've ever seen, and we're so lucky to have it. And we manage it in such a sustainable way, and it's becoming such an important part of farming and what we do. We plant a lot of trees, and we plant the trees on riversides to stop the stock from making a muddy mess on the banks. It's called point source protection, and it's happening all over the country. It's not just in Northumberland, but we've really embraced it. And we fence off those areas, and we fence off important areas of environmental habitats and different things. But in this wood, you'll see as we get closer to it, it's absolutely superb. We have an awful lot of old trees in here. These trees are, we think they could be as old as 100 years old, some of these trees. And one of the problems is on this hilltop, the soil's very thin, and so the roots aren't very deep. And when we get some strong winds, because the trees are now so big, they fall over, and we're trying to do a really good job of managing the fallen down trees. Now what you might see is little tubes all over. Now these are self-seeded saplings, young trees that we found tubed up, and they're growing, and they were being smothered out by all the bracken underneath. And you can see there's what's that one? That's a mountain ash.
Mountain ash.
and we're going to go and see our son Charlie, who's doing some woodwork today. It sounds really good. He's not really a woodworker. He's chopping some logs and things, and we'll show you a little bit of machinery, and then we'll talk about what we do with the wood, and how we process it. I'm getting out of breath. Helen, can you do it?
Yes, I'm just going to try and get Johnny to keep walking up and showing the log with the lovely, I call them horseshoe mushroom fungi, but it's not called horseshoe, is it? It's a really...
Some people call it King Arthur's cakes, because but we found this yesterday and we thought you'd be interested to see it.
Now this is really exciting as well. If I tap it,
it's hollow.
It's hollow, but it is very, very hard. Right, I'm going to pass you back over. We'll prime Charlie to actually say something.
I wanted to say a bit. We have very little machinery because we're a livestock farm. We have a few tractors, and this poor loader is the loader that works and works and works on the farm. Loaders are so important, just lifting and shifting stuff. Charlie's been doing some logs. Now these logs we store in these cages to season and dry out, and then we use them burning in the holiday cottages. The holiday cottages have stoves, we have stoves. There's nothing nicer than a stove. Go on, Charlie, what are you going to tell us?
So last year we bought this log splitter, and because it was too tiring doing it all by axe, because we've got quite a bit of windfall in the wood behind throughout, so we just decided to buy this to make it a bit easier. So if we see here, that's a nice straight bit of wood which would be easy to cut with an axe.
Really straight grain, isn't it?
Yeah. But then this one here is very knotty, and it will take you quite a few attempts, and you might not even be able to get through it all. So we've got this log splitter which produces about 14 tons per square inch, which easily
that's very technical, Charlie.
which splits logs for us. So if you come around here, here's what the product is.
Look, Charlie's been working hard. It's really good fun. And then, as I say, we put it into these cages and then we store it in the shed. We have someone who helps us within the woods and advises us on Stuart, and he advises us on what we should be doing and how. It's not all muck and magic. We do plan out everything that we do.
Also, we store the logs for a year before we burn them.
Yeah, it's really important for to season logs before you burn them, and so these logs won't be burnt until next year, and it's a big policy now for burning in woods.
Yeah. And I think we're coming near to the end of our time, so we're going to walk along the woods and just show you what lovely wood it is.
Sorry, thank you, Charlie. Are you all coming with us?
Yeah,
Everyone's coming with us. We're getting a band of merry souls walking along with us now.
And here at Ammerside we have planted
7,000 trees.
And everybody has to help planting. So Alice, Sarah and Charlie can say in 50 years' time, you see that wood over there, I helped plant that.
And we've got huge plans to plant yet more woods and create more wetlands, not to jeopardise the farming production, but just to enhance everything that's going on, which is really, really exciting for us. We are building sheds to house cattle and different things, but really we want the cattle to stay outside. It's really hard balance between housing cattle and keeping it very very profitable in the process, because sheds are so expensive.
Also in the wood you'll notice that we've left some trees that have fallen down. We've left them there and we haven't chopped them up. These are to create habitats. Apparently, and hopefully my facts are right, but an oak tree takes 400 years to grow, and it also takes 400 years to decay. So during that life, it's over 800 years it's creating habitat. And so when the birch die and fall over, we leave some of them so that they can create more of a habitat.
I think our time is up. Is it Sarah? Sarah's been the timekeeper. How long have we done? 30 minutes. We're saying that's our time up. I would go on for ages. I hope we haven't got any windrush. What I'm going to do is I'll turn the camera around and leave you with a view of the cows and some of the lovely trees. And we'll say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. There we are.
Bye.
Bye.